Surrey's own Karun Alja took home a 2024 TikTok Juno Fan Choice Award. He performed his hit Softly on stage in Halifax at the event. And Punjabi superstar Diljit Dosanjh returns to Vancouver this weekend to perform for tens of thousands at BC Place Stadium. It's almost sold out there. As I mentioned, tickets going for thousands of dollars if you want to get a front row seat. Now, what is going on with the genre of Punjabi music, especially when it comes to homegrown talent hotspots like Surrey? Well, our guest today is Harpo Mander from Surrey. She is the executive director of the musical festival 5X. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Thank you for being here. At that moment where Karan was taking the Juno Award on stage in Halifax, what was going through your mind?
I was just so proud of him and proud of the culture. And because I know his story, I was just in awe listening to him and watching his actual performance. I was crying. I had tears in my eyes. They were rolling down my face because it just means so much.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's very happy, very grateful. And it's a moment for the culture.
Yeah. There was a time in the 1990s when South Asian music made it in the UK, and the UK was one of the hubs for new Punjabi music at the time. What has it been like for you, as somebody who's born and raised in Surrey, to see that creative, I guess, diaspora hub migrate, from there to places like Surrey and Brampton?
I feel like it's been quite. It's been really exciting, but it's also been super nice because this is something that we've known. We've all known this. There's a lot of talent in Surrey. There's a lot of great people in Surrey doing notable, impactful work. And so it sort of feels like, oh, okay, well, it's about time. That's how it feels. To see the culture shift from that space to this space also feels really if it's encouraging. I think so much of the work that I do is trying to change the perception of Surrey. And as you know, there are a lot of negative stereotypes about Surrey. And so I think this is stuff that we've already known. And to see it sort of be represented on a world stage, it just feels like there is I don't want to use the word reckoning, but it just feels like a good moment,
Yeah. There seems to be this sort of affinity for Punjabi music and hip hop. They go together in a way that is just, it's so natural. It sounds like it belongs.
Yeah, I think it's because, I can speak for myself. Growing up, I didn't see very many South Asian people on television, on the radio, in movies, or in music. And the next closest thing for us was hip hop culture, was seeing Black artists, seeing Black filmmakers and stars. And so we found a resonance with, we can't claim to have the same experience, absolutely not. But I think that was probably the closest thing that we could relate to. And so a lot of artists still find inspiration from that sort of world and that genre, and it feels like we belong in some way.
And there's that classic hip hop shuffle that just seems to work into Punjabi music just so beautifully and seamlessly.
Right, and a lot of the artists cite a lot of hip hop and rap artists as their inspirations. The late Sidhu Moosewala was obsessed with Tupac, and you can't go to Surrey and not see young kids wearing like Aaliyah or wearing Tupac. I've got tons of those T-shirts at home.
5X is the festival that you manage. Its goal is to promote South Asian youth culture. And how do you see that culture evolving as it encounters or even collides with elements of the Canadian music industry?
I think what's interesting about our organization is that we are a space for hybrid bicultural identities. So people like myself who grew up in a context that's different than our parents. So we're not just the Western culture, we're not just the South Asian culture, we're sort of an amalgamation of both. And so it's quite hard to sometimes find a place that you belong when you are so many multiple competing identities. And so I think what's happening now is, as the culture is shifting, as our relationship with our identity is shifting, so are the pathways to connect with young people. And so are the artistic expressions of those young people. And so that's all lending into the music, into the genre. And I think the sound right now is really unique because it is that blend of all those worlds, as opposed to just trying to be one world or the other. It's a combination of everything right now.
And do you see it becoming more mainstream, so that you see, Punjabi music embraced in other categories, in the Junos and in other awards?
I think it's starting to happen. As an organization, we're very inspired by what Latin music has done in the United States. I think that's probably the most comparable,
Yeah.
and even like an artist like Burna Boy and what they've been able to do. So I think that's what we're really inspired by, and we can see a lot of collaboration starting to happen. I mean, Diljit's worked with a few mainstream people in the last year.
Hmm.
We have AP Dillon working with someone in the mainstream space at the moment. And so I do think that there is a crossover happening into the mainstream, and I think it lends a lot to the actual sound at the moment.
And in that crossover, is there something missing in the way Canadian music is engaging, or Canadians are engaging with Punjabi music right now? Is there something that could be more?
I think that the recognition of South Asian music, Punjabi music, and its impact in the global scene is probably a little bit slower than it should be. I mean, a lot of these artists are some of the biggest artists in the world and have, I mean, Karan Aujla alone has 2.2 billion Spotify streams, and that's just not comparable to anything that we've seen out of Canada in the last
So
decade,
that's
I would
billion
say.
with a B.
Billion with a B,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Not million, billion. And so I think that there needs to be a little bit of a like an awakening to
Hmm.
the global impact that is South Asian music, which, by the way, has almost entirely all of its roots here in British Columbia, in Vancouver, and Surrey.
That's which is so cool. Which is, I mean,
Hmm.
and we're seeing it imported to places like Brampton now. I mean, it's like it reminds me of the old sort of East Coast West Coast hip hop days.
Absolutely.
You are going to leave us with a song. What have you chosen for us?
So I've chosen NLS, Nachale Sonie by Raf Sapera. And the reason I chose this is because Raf is this wonderful artist he's from the UK. And I mean, I could have gone with someone who's from Surrey, but I think Raf's sound is really unique because in this world of hip hop and Punjabi music coming together, he's sort of standing out as this person who's bringing back folk, but doing it in a very new way. And this song is sort of a sample from a lot of the songs we used to hear our parents listening to, but done in a way that's for our generation.
So cool. Here it is. This is Raf Sapera.
ਉਹ ਡੰਗ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਮਾਰੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਸਾਂਵਲਾ ਜਾ ਰੰਗ ਨੀ ਮਾਰਦੀ ਆ ਠੁਮਕੇ ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਚਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਆਸ਼ਿਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੀਨੇ ਅੱਗ ਲਾਈ ਫਿਰਦੀ ਚੌਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੀਨੇ ਅੱਗ ਲਾਈ ਫਿਰਦੀ ਨੀ ਆ ਜਾ ਨੱਚ ਲੈ ਸੋਹਣੀਏ ਨੀ ਆ ਜਾ ਨੱਚ ਲੈ ਸੋਹਣੀਏ ਲੱਗ ਪੱਤ ਲੱਗ ਮਾਲ ਕਾਲੀ ਗੁੱਤ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੱਕਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਪਾਈ ਫਿਰਦੀ ਨੀ ਆ ਜਾ ਨੱਚ ਲੈ ਸੋਹਣੀਏ
Song called NLS by Raf Sapera, a Punjabi music star from the UK.